This NASCAR 2025 Championship Props edition of the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up with our promo code RACESGPN to get a 50% deposit bonus of up to $1,000. We're also brought to you by Rhythm, the leader in data-driven picks and props. Get your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMN.
Driver, start your engine!
Strap in and pull those belts up tight as the Sports Gambling Podcast Network presents the NASCAR Gambling Podcast.
I'll wreck my mom to win a championship. I'll wreck your mom to win a championship.
With all the news and the best bets for your NASCAR weekend.
It refrains me from not beating the out of you right now because you ask me stupid questions. But since I'm on probation, I suppose that's improper to say as well. If you could talk about racing things, we could talk about racing things.
Now, here are your hosts, Rod Villagomez and Cody Zeeb.
Welcome in to another episode of the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. He's Cody Zeeb. I'm Rod Villagomez, and we are here today because, well, look, Cody, we have begged and begged and begged for the last couple of seasons. Please give us more to talk about over the offseason. Books, can you come up with something to fill our episodes out? And boy, howdy, do we have a ton of stuff to talk about this offseason. We kept teasing. We're like, well, we're going to get to this and we're going to get to this. And now here we are, almost a full month and some change after the season. And there's still plenty to talk about, Cody.
There is so much to talk about. Shout out to the books for giving us stuff to bet on too. And not just stuff to bet on, but so much stuff to bet on. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing, Rod. So yeah, we get to break down some props for the full season, which is going to be pretty exciting and just sort of continue the conversation, more depth into how we think drivers are going to do this season, which is a lot of fun. Season's just around the corner, Rod. We're under 50 days till the Daytona 500. We're only about a little over a month away from the Clash at Bowman Gray. Very, very exciting season. It's almost here, Rod. We've almost made it through the off season. We're over halfway there.
And we haven't told you once about a car's history number on this show. Now, if you still love it, go to the Twitter because we have definitely been cranking those out like mad. Those have been getting some really good engagement, Cody. I think people enjoy it, but they don't want to admit that they enjoy it.
Yeah, you always get the people, I don't want to see another off-season count. And it's like, okay, first of all, not hurting anything. Second of all, like, we're excited to count down the days. It gives you a chance to sort of look at, to me, numbers. I'm a big history guy in a general sense, right? And then NASCAR history I love, and to actually like go down and break down the numbers. And it's so crazy to see some car numbers have thousands of starts and 80, 90 wins, and then some have 100 starts and they've never won anything. And then we always try to find, one little fact to throw in there about the car number, whatever it is, this person did that or accomplished that in the car number. I think it's cool and kind of continues to learn. Martin Truex Sr. was a couple of weeks ago. I had found that he made a couple starts in a car number, and I was like, I didn't even know Martin Truex Sr. had started races in the Cup Series. So you learn something new every day.
Speaking of history, I have the Bible I have this book here, which is, by the way, very ridiculously thick. It takes you all the way through the very beginning of each NASCAR season up until when this was printed, which was like 2001. So this is, 2001 is the last, 2002 is
so
the
they
last
need to make a
season.
part 2 of that book now.
I'm sure they have it as I hit my microphone as I look at it. It's got like all of the championship standings from that era. This thing is fantastic. I have worn this out, as you can tell. But I love the history of this all because it starts in 1946 with the beginning of all this stuff and how it all came to be. And it walks you through. You get names and historical references and all that other good stuff.
And like it digs up some cool cars too, right? Because a lot of people will then turn around and make posts on our posts, whether it's on our posts or in the groups that I share it to or whatever, of cars that they liked that were that number. And actually, so there's a Nebraska racing history Facebook group or whatever that I'm part of, and so they've been letting me share that every day in there, and then people will post their favorite Nebraska drivers that have driven cars, at the local tracks around here with all the numbers on it. So that's pretty cool too, to kind of see all the different people who drove the 48 car locally in this state over the years and everything. So yeah, it's been pretty fun and exciting.
Yep. So all the haters out there, bleh. But listen, there's tons of stuff going on this week still. I mean, we're only going to have our 3 episodes out this week, and they're kind of out early because obviously this is coming up on New Year's. So we're just kind of, getting them out before the weekend so that everybody can enjoy the rest of their new year.
Yeah, this is our final show for 2024, Rob.
It really is too. That's crazy to think of. We'll be talking to you in 2025 coming up very shortly. But if you want to check out the rest of what's going on, all you got to do is download the SGPN app. All of our picks and podcasts are free in one place. So just type in SGPN in the App Store and voila, everything will come to you. All right, Cody. Well, as we said, we are going to be talking about these props Caesars has given us. This isn't even on the speakeasy, Cody. This is straight up right where you get the main page. This is all of the stuff they're giving us right now.
Yeah, not even making us work for it, which is nice.
Yeah, I mean, we've had to find the back door, the speakeasy, and all that other good stuff, but not anymore. We're good to go on that. So, they've given us everything from top 3. This is all, mind you, this is all championship standings, right? This isn't a race. This isn't. So as it runs through the championship season, at the end of it, if these props cash, they cash for the season. So, all the way to the end, not even through the regular season, all the way to the end. Yep. So
and I guess so. Do make sure when you are placing futures bets. We had somebody reach out on YouTube that said that whatever, I don't remember what state he was in, New Hampshire maybe or something, but it's a different type of book, and their Xfinity Series win totals were only for the regular season, which is so strange. But make sure you clarify, like the ones we covered on Caesars, in most states that I can tell from what I'm able to look at, are all for the full season. But I guess just a good reminder to, unfortunately, betting is not legal everywhere. We don't have all the same books everywhere. We don't have all the same rules everywhere. So you have to check individually with your, what you have available. But at least on the bigger stuff, I know ESPN had some head-to-head matchups that were specifically regular season, but they were marked that way. But yeah, just a little PSA to toss out there.
Yeah. So we got top 3s. In fact, we got so many of them that this is not only going to be a 2-parter. This may end up being a 3-parter because there's just a lot to break down and cover. So you'll get 2 parts this week.
Rob.
Huh? Well, yeah, we better
hurry up and get in.
You got 2 this week, and then we may even give you a 3rd if we don't get all the way through this. So I think you're right, Cody. I think we probably should just jump right in to this championship prop edition of the show. We'll start at the top, right where they give us top 3s. We've already talked about all of our favorites to win.
This is super interesting because, like during the season, they'll offer to make the final 4.
Mm-hmm.
But getting the top 3 means they have to get to that race and then not be the last finishing guy in that race, which is sort of an interesting twist.
And it's a fun twist because top 3 for me, I feel like there's so much more wiggle room and a lot more value, obviously, in these top 3s than there are in championships because only one guy gets the championship, right? And then to make the top 4, that comes later in the season. But here you get to dive in and kind of look at some of the odds that you get for top 3. And I mean, it starts at the top, right? I mean, we talk about him a lot anyways in championship conversations, and it's Kyle Larson sitting there at plus 140 to make the final 3. I mean, Kyle Larson, as we know, ended up doing that last year anyways. So does he do it again this year? And can he win the championship? We've already talked about that through. He didn't actually make the top 3. I'm sorry. He didn't do it this year.
Did not make it to the
This is why you crown him already, right? I'm already ahead in the top 3, but yeah, he didn't do it this last year. So can he do it this year?
Yeah, I think that's probably the biggest case for not betting on him is he just didn't do it last season. Of course, Kyle Larson's greatest race car driver in the world. He's a favorite for a reason, as he should be. If he wasn't, we'd be telling you to hammer it. But plus 140, it's a smaller number. It's obviously more safe than just picking to win the championship if he can get to that race. I don't know that the playoffs line up super great for him, especially taking like a Homestead out of the round of 8, which is, one of his stronger tracks. Now you're putting that in the spring. Instead, you're going to have Talladega, not one of his stronger, although he does have both of his career top 5 super speedway finishes at Talladega route. But in a general sense, not his strongest suit, obviously. The shorter, flatter tracks, there's a lot of those in the playoffs this year. Those have been sort of hit and miss over the years, but it seems like Hendrick has not done as well on those lately. So I think some of those things are concerning. But, of course, it's Kyle Larson. So maybe this is the better place to take him than the championship, because all he has to do is get to the Final Four and then be one of the top 3. I think you sort of have to look at this as a do they make the Final Four bet? Because I think, and then you just have that hope they don't finish last of the Final Four once they get there. But obviously, to be in the top 3, you got to make the Final Four. And maybe you hold on to this conversation and get similar numbers for making the Final Four as we go down the road here. And then you can, place that bet instead of the top 3, and then you're safe if they make it to that race. But yeah, Kyle Larson didn't do it last season. I think that's obviously the biggest strength against him, but it's also Kyle Larson, and he's great. So that's kind of the case for him.
Interesting stat, though, if you really want to think this through and kind of weigh where you're at. Yeah, he's the greatest driver of all times, but he's only finished inside of the top 3 in the championship standings twice.
All time
in his career.
Yeah.
Well, I understand, but here's the thing. He won the championship, finished 7th the next season, finished 2nd the season after that in 2023, finished 6th in 2024. So I guess if you're a pattern person.
So he's the opposite of Joey Logano. He's an odd year, he's an odd year guy.
So yeah, if you're a pattern person, then we'll take odd
on Kyle Larson.
Did we just stumble and unlock a code, Cody, on here? Odd year Kyle Larson?
He only makes the Final Four in odd years, and Joey only makes it in even years. Oh boy, we're gonna have this down by the time we get to about 2030.
The powers balance each other out. I guess the light side, dark side of the whole cookie is all true, right? But yeah, I guess at plus 140, if you think that this is going to be a year that he's going to make the Final Four, then I think this is as good as any. Because if he does make the Final Four, I don't think he's going to be the last car in that mix. So, and history has shown us that that's not the truth. So, all right, Kyle Larson plus 140. If you feel froggy on an odd year Kyle Larson, then go ahead and jump on that. Christopher Bell next at plus 150. I mean, we've talked through his championship odds. We're pretty high on him anyways. So he's made the Final Four, right? As many times as
he should be. He should be 3 for 3 in the next gen era, right? Of course, he sort of got robbed in a way this past season. The whole Chevrolet's blocking things and him riding the wall, so on and so forth. But yeah, I mean, the closer and closer we get to the season, the higher and higher I'm getting on Christopher Bell. Then, as I just pointed out, a lot of short flats in the playoff run. You think of a guy like Martin Truex is gone now. Eric Almirola, as we know, is gone. He's going to have Chase Briscoe over there pushing him even harder in the same equipment. The other kind of short flat track guy. I think that I guess so. Looking at this kind of top group of 3 or 4, maybe even 5, if there's one of them that I'm going to bet, I think it's Christopher Bell. I feel the best about him getting there and also finishing inside the top 3 just because of the track type that it is and how good he's been at the track.
Yeah, and so when you look back at his career, he's got, like you said, he's made the top championship 4 in 2 of the 3 seasons that they've kind of had that. So 3rd place in 2022, 4th place in 2023, 5th place in 2024. So if you're a pattern guy, does he finish in 6th place to round it out and keep going up, or does he go back? I mean, look, again, if we think that Christopher Bell is going to make it, I do believe that, again, he'll be one of the guys. And this is the same thing that you could say about Larson too, in that when they do it well, right? I mean, yeah, Christopher Bell finished in the last spot in the standings in 2023, but this is a little bit different of a year for him. And if he does make it, then I think he's going to finish inside of the top 3, which I guess gives us 2 of the top 3 already.
As we get closer and closer to, and I continue to rise on Bell, I sort of am thinking this could be the season where Christopher Bell establishes himself as the number 1 guy at Gibbs, because I do think we're going to see a bit of a step back from Denny. We've talked about the crew chief situation there, and I don't love that. I think we could start to see a little bit of a drawback. By the way, congrats to Denny and his fiance Jordan. They're having another child, which is great news for them. But yeah, this could really be a Christopher Bell breakout season and like planting his flag as I'm the top guy over here. Before Ty Gibbs really starts coming into his own and challenging that, which I think will happen. But yeah, I think this will be a really good opportunity for him. So I am higher and higher on Bell as we get closer to the season.
Yep, I would definitely back this one as well. Because again, we've talked about his championship odds and his championship potential. And I think if you think he's going to win it, or if you think he's going to be good enough to get there, I think you got to bet this number because I don't know if they'll continue to offer it. And if they do, I don't know that it'll be better than plus 150. It may stay the same. You may be able to wait, but
so, and that's actually sort of an interesting thing. Some of the future stuff, the championship odds you're going to be able to bet each and every week throughout the season. To make the Final Four will probably reappear at some point and continue throughout the season. Most of the rest of these, this is sort of probably your opportunity. I don't know that they're going to continue to have this variety of futures as the season goes on and we have stuff to bet on each week. So something to keep in mind that a lot of these things we're going to talk about, I don't think you're going to be able to bet top Chevy or top Toyota in July. I think that this is your chance to do so, here in the next 40 some days before the season starts.
I agree. We'll continue to talk down that list, but I want to tell you first about Underdog Fantasy. Underdog Pick'em has one of the biggest menus for all of sports. You can win up to 100x with Underdog Streaks. Underdog is always making it easier to win with some profit boosts and some gimme pick'ems. NFL, college football, college basketball, MMA, NBA, NASCAR, and so much more. You can use specials and boost on all of your flex entries. Look, I may not have hit him this last time around, but Pro Women's Hockey League. Yes, Professional Women's Hockey League is represented on Underdog. You can pick from all of the players on there. I had some of the shots, but there's actually going to be some more out there for you to pick from later on. So, hey, man, have some fun. Go deep in the weeds with me and start picking some Professional Women's Hockey League higher than or lower thans on shots, on goals. So many opportunities to get in on that. And then when you're there, sign up with our promo code RACESGPN to claim your special pick and first time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus cash. That's underdogfantasy.com. Promo code RACESGPN. Sticks went cold, Cody. Whoa.
I got all choked up about what I was going to tell you.
Yeah.
But I have an article, Rod, over at sportsgamblingpodcast.com for the college football playoffs. And it has a pick for each of the 4 games this weekend. Penn State, Boise State play this evening, of course. So get over there and get that pick in right away. But then obviously 3 games tomorrow on New Year's Day. And there's a play for each game for Underdog over there. Sportsgamblingpodcast.com. So make sure you check that out. That was a lot of fun to dig a little. I've dabbled all season in the college football Underdog, but to really kind of dive in and take a look at it was a lot of fun.
Boo, Boise State. Hate Boise State. I had to watch Fresno as well. But me wearing a Fresno State, how apropos today. Had to watch them get trampled on that freaking blue turf again and again and again, and they lost again in that stupid bowl, the Idaho stupid potato stupid bowl on blue stupid turf.
I got to see the Huskers go into Yankee Stadium and kick some Boston College butt, Rod. Won the first bowl game since 2015. It's a very sad world that we live in where we're happy about winning a bowl game, but that's neither here nor there.
Well, I have yet to watch the Army Bowl game, so nobody ruin it for me. But I do believe I think I'm going to be happy because I did get spoiled. But
I was happy about the Colorado one because they got their ass kicked, just like when they played Nebraska.
They got beat. All right, let's move on down the top 3 list. We can't dilly-dally too long here because I feel like we've already
beat it up, Rob.
We've already taken up a lot of time on the first 2. So let's talk about Ryan Blaney, Denny Hamlin, and William Byron all at 2-1. Obviously, we know Ryan Blaney coming off of his championship defense here, and he's at 2-1 to make the 3.
Yeah, Blaney again, just a guy that I feel like I don't personally even. I love Ryan Blaney. We used to have a segment on the show called Ryan Blaney's Corner back in the first couple of seasons here. We need to bring that back. But I used to find a way to bet on Ryan every single week because you got good value. You don't get it as much now, obviously, as he's become a champion and people have realized how good he is. They just keep figuring out a way to get there. So how do you not bet this, I guess, is sort of the question. Like, I just said that I love Christopher Bell a little more, but Blaney is just a continual force. He's not Joey Logano where it's every other year. Like, he's in the mix every single year. And if he gets to Phoenix, he's really fucking good at Phoenix, as we've continued to see each and every time they go there. So it's pretty hard to make a case against betting on Ryan Blaney at 2-1. For Denny Hamlin, again, if you've sort of followed it along the season as the offseason has gone, I'm starting to feel like we might be getting closer to the end for Denny. I'm not trying to shove him in the grave like Rod's trying to do with like 30-year-old drivers all the time, but he's getting up there in age. I do think, and we had someone on the YouTube was commenting about we don't maybe give enough credit to crew chiefs and how much of a difference that makes. I wish we had more time to actually go into each. Like, that's the problem, as we there's only so much time for us to talk, and we already talk a lot. But we've mentioned it a few times with certain crew chiefs, but I do think that crew chief change is going to be big for Denny in not a good way. And so I'm out on him making the championship 4, which means I'm not going to bet him to win the top 3 or to be in the top 3. And then William Byron, just another guy that I continue to struggle with getting there on him. And he starts the season off so hot each year. They kind of cool off. That being said, he made the Final Four this past season, of course. Little help from his Chevrolet teammates, but I'm not super excited to bet him at 2-1 either.
Yeah, and so for Blaney, obviously finishing second and runner-up last year to Joey Logano, that was so tough. I mean, you could see it. He wanted to repeat as champion. He wanted to be the guy again, but you cannot go against even year Joey Logano. It doesn't matter who you are. So for me, I don't want to say that I don't think he can continue that momentum, because he is one of the greatest drivers out there right now that's continually being consistent enough to put himself in the mix. But it's so hard to do that for season after season after season. I mean, we see Kyle Larson miss it. We see, Byron and all these other really, really good, Elliott, who his popularity and his how good as he is, still gets hard to reach the top of the mountain each and every year. So I don't know, at 2-1, like you said, I don't feel really comfortable with that. And with Denny Hamlin, he's not retired already. Like, he's not in full owner mode already. I mean, whatever. I don't want any part of this. And then for William Byron, like I said, at 2-1, it's just so hard. It's hard to predict guys like William Byron continuing. I mean, he did finish third in the standings last year, but like, he won all those races and he should have been better than that.
Yeah, and the thing with these guys at these shorter odds, you can't bet a bunch of, obviously, again, all of these guys are the favorites. They're at the top for a reason. They should all be there. They're not all going to make it there. So you got to pick and choose carefully which ones you want to bet on. Again, Bell is the one that's the most attractive to me at plus 150 of all the guys we've talked about. I would say Blaney probably the next guy if I was going to place a second bet from the drivers we've covered.
All right, well, let's take a look down the list. I'm just going to lump about 5 of these together because I think they can all be in the same conversation, with the exception of maybe one, but that's because his car number warrants him being this high, I guess. But odd year Logano, Chase Elliott, 260. Logano, odd year, 270, out. Reddick at plus 270. And then, well, let's stop there because
let's do those 3, because then it sort of falls off a cliff. Yeah. So Elliott, I'm very big on him. We've talked about that. Plus 260. There's other ways I'd like to find a bet on him. I took him as the champion already. So I don't know. I think if he's going to get there, he's going to have a good shot at it. Plus 260, though, doesn't really scream take me. Joey Logano, as you said, it's an odd year. If you've not followed, Joey has made the Final Four since the Final Four became a thing in every single even year. And I don't think he's ever made it in an odd year. Again, it makes no sense. It made no sense for him to win the championship last year other than it was an even year. It happened. We're not going to test the fate of the racing gods anymore, and we're going to stick with that's their plan, Rod. So Tyler Reddick at plus 270. This is the next guy off the list that screams, hey, take me. Yes. I think, obviously, I was very, very high on Tyler Reddick last season. I'm going to continue to be high on him probably for multiple years to come. We've begun to see the great talent that he is. This team's going to continue to get bigger, badder, stronger. They've got their charters most likely, as long as none of these appeals get overturned again or whatever. But things are looking good for the team. Again, I don't think that's going to be a distraction with the lawsuit. They got to the Final Four already. last season while the lawsuit was ongoing. So not worried about it. Plus 270 for Tyler Reddick. Honestly, of this first group of, I'll call all these guys favorites because it sort of drops big number after this. Tyler Reddick, I think, is probably my favorite one to bet, and Christopher Bell. So those are the two guys I am going to bet on is Tyler Reddick at plus 270, Christopher Bell at plus 150.
I am a huge fan of Tyler Reddick in this instance too, only because, again, it's just a matter of out of these numbers, out of the drivers that are in this group, you want to talk about momentum, you want to talk about guys that are continually fighting, and obviously they're all favorites for a reason. But yeah, I think with Tyler Reddick, we've already talked him up so much this season. It's hard at this number, especially. I figured Tyler Reddick would be in the hundreds, right? In the low hundreds, if not just the mid-range of being a 200. But since he's on the cusp of being 3-1, then you definitely want to take him at this number. All right, let's continue down the road. Let's just toss out Ty Gibbs at plus 550, Briscoe at 6-1, Busch at 6-1. That group of three drivers. I mean, I know who you're high on. I don't believe that Chase Briscoe belongs in this conversation yet, even at 6-1. I get it. He's driving the 19, but come on, man. Like, really?
Yeah. So the Briscoe thing, again, it's sort of an interesting case. Going to a good team, again, back to the crew chief conversation. I think that holds him back a little bit. But it is a good team. He's been a good short flat guy, which you look at the playoffs, that sets up well for him. They made the playoffs. They made a little bit of a run this past year with a going away team. Those are all cases for him. I guess if I had to bet this or 20-1 to win the championship, I'd probably rather have this. So, Rowdy, if you're big on him, maybe this is the way that you bet on him rather than taking him for the championship. But I'm not super into this one. Ty Gibbs at plus 550. Again, I think he's going to have a really strong season. I want to see him get to the Final Four before I bet at this number too. It's not quite big enough for me. I think he's going to be in the round of 8. I think there's a strong chance 2-3 wins. This is going to be a big season for Gibbs. Are we ready to be in the Final 3 at the end of the day? We'll see, right? We'll see. Capable of doing it. Has the car to do it, has the talent. Yes. Does he? I think that's the question. Kyle Busch at 6-1. I want to do it, Rod. But at only 6-1, when he didn't even make the playoffs last year, this is the type of guy I'd rather just have a championship. Because if he's good enough to get to the Final Four and be in the top 3, I'd rather just be holding the championship ticket on Kyle Busch, because that means that everything has gone well for them. Things are clicking. You're putting a 2-time champion with all the pressure in the world into that race with a chance. I would rather have the ticket on him to just win it all, because we know that he's very capable of doing it.
And for Kyle Busch, we have hemmed and hawed about Kyle Busch so much so that our listener base hates it, because they love Kyle Busch. And who doesn't love a good Kyle Busch? But 20th, 14th, 13th, 9th, 8th, those are his last 5 finishes in the standings. Like, he won in 2019. He finished 4th in 2018, 2nd in 17, 3rd in 16. He won in 15. But this is not your grandfather's Kyle Busch. It's not even your Kyle Busch from a few years ago. This is somebody who
this is the revenge tour, Rod. This is the comeback.
If it is, then so be it. I'm more than happy to give him his revenge. So, but yeah, I guess if you feel like you want to, this is not a bad number. It's just not the best of numbers for me in there. So, all right, let's talk through 2 others. Well, actually, you know what? Let's do this. Let's go commercial free for the rest of this. I want to be able to talk at length at this, and we'll do that after I tell you about MyBookie. We're brought to you by MyBookie.ag. MyBookie has been running on SGPN for years. Check out their new and improved website, which, by the way, looks fantastic on mobile. Plus, they got props for every games and the live dealer casino, even new early cash out options. Looking ahead at some of these bowl games that are going on New Year's Day. I want the Notre Dame Fighting Irish to win. Look, I know they beat Army. I get it, but I'm a huge Notre Dame Fighting Irish fan from way back in the day. I used to have a Notre Dame starter jacket when I had no clue. I thought I wanted to go there, and I found out that I wasn't Catholic, so it doesn't matter. So I'm going to take Notre Dame plus 1.5 against the Georgia Bulldogs, minus 110 over there on MyBookie. Hey, I'll even take the money line at minus 101 for them as well. So make sure you go over there, lock that in over on mybookie.ag. Sign up with the promo code SGPN. You're going to get a 100% deposit match up to $1,000 plus a $10 casino chip. That's mybookie.ag, promo code SGPN. SGPN's proud partner, Rhythm, is the #1 AI-powered sports betting platform that helps provide bettors of all levels the ability to build custom predictive betting models in seconds and get predictions for betting on money lines, spreads, totals, and props. You can build your own model, copy one of the top-performing models from the leaderboard, or have Rhythm build a model for you. You can track props in the Rhythm app now, too. NFL picks, NFL props, college football, college basketball, NBA. Rhythm has it all. Claim your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. So one last group to focus on here before we just kind of open it up for the rest of them, because after this next group, it really does. There's a cliff that it definitely falls after. But two of your favorite drivers in the entire world, Cody, and you've been banging the drum for these guys, are in this group. So I wanted to give you the opportunity to present this to the masses, as Chris Buescher is 8-1. Alex Bowman is 8-1.
To RFK Corner.
This is straight up RFK code. I wish I don't have my heart. I get my heart ready in a second. But yeah, so Brad Keselowski 8.5-1 in this one as well. Ross Chastain also 8.5 with Alex Bowman sandwiched in there at 8-1. So Cody, yes, welcome to RFK Corner for you.
Yeah, I think we determined earlier this week or last week, I guess it was, that RFK was going to take 3 of the top 4 spots. So yeah, you just bet both these guys and call it a day. So we'll see you guys later. No, I'm just kidding. I am very, very, if you've not listened to the offseason yet, I am very high on Buescher and Keselowski and just RFK in general as a whole this season. As far as betting one of these guys to finish in the top 3, Chris Buescher at 8-1, I think is worth it because I love Brad, and I think Brad's definitely he's capable of doing it, but Chris is kind of the lead guy over there, I think, at this point. So 8-1 to get to the Final Four, finish inside the top 3. I think he could do that. And so I guess looking for a guy in this range, like Tyler Reddick at 270 I liked, but if I want one of these longer guys, Chris Buescher would be the guy at 8-1. I love Brad as well. I think he's capable of getting it done. I would pick Buescher over him. Bowman, it's always the same story with Bowman, right? He's the next guy. He's not even top 3 in his own organization. That makes it hard for him to be top 3 out of everybody. He's not great at Phoenix anyways, even if he were to get there. It's tough for him to do it, I think. Chastain, he's an interesting case, plus 850. He obviously won the championship race 2 years ago, not being in the Final Four anymore, but he'd been in the Final Four off of the Hail Melon 3 seasons ago. Rough year last year, didn't make it, but he's interesting. But again, if I'm picking one guy in this group, in this range, it's Chris Buescher for me.
Yeah, I don't want any part of this group at all. Like I love you. I love the love for RFK, but I don't share your enthusiasm for at least a top 3 run for any of these guys, because I want to root for Ross Chastain, right? That's kind of where I'm at. If I want anybody, I want Ross Chastain because I want to root for him. But then I also don't want to get my heart broken by him. So I'm not necessarily all that inclined to want any piece of him either at this one. So this is a tough group for me to want to try to put anything down on. So I'm going to stay away from this one altogether.
Yeah, I don't blame you there. So after Chastain at plus 850, 17-1 is the next guy on the thing. So 2 parts to these long shots. As you look through the list, there's nobody that jumps out to me and says, I should be in the Final Four. I have a pretty good shot at making the Final Four, with one caveat, Rod. If you can make it to the round of 8, Talladega now resides in the round of 8. So if you can find your way into the round of 8 and win Talladega, punching your ticket to the Final Four, one guy has a problem in the Final Four, suddenly you're in the top 3. So I think that anybody at this 17-1 or more list, you have to be able to create the case for them to get to the Final 8, which is much more achievable than the Final 4. And then they'll essentially likely have to win Talladega to get to the Final 4. Then you're also going to need somebody to have a problem or a wreck, which happens, right? We saw Bell blow a tire rotor, 60 laps in 2 seasons ago. Some guys have had problems or whatever in the Final Four as well before also. So I think Talladega not being in the round of 8, you don't take any of these guys because I don't think you can make a case for them to get there. But I think the Talladega wild card part of it could help a more of an underdog make the Final Four and then finish inside of the top 3.
I agree. And you know what that one guy would be for me? Bubba Wallace at 17 to 1.
Yes, let's go. I knew you were going to say it, and I am too. 17 to 1. Absolutely, because he can make it to the round of 8. He just made it to, was it the 12 or did he make the 8 2 seasons ago? He was pretty close, and he's been strong. We talked about 23-11. They continue to get better. Look, in the championship episode, we don't think that Bubba Wallace is a champion yet at this point where he is. Can he find his way, scratch and claw his way into the round of 8? Absolutely. Can he win at Talladega? He's done it before. He's been good at super speedways. This is absolutely the guy that jumps off the board to me as well at 17 to 1. I don't know, looking down through the list, SVG, Suarez, Dillon, Cindric, Hocevar, Smith, Herbst, Gragson, Barry, any of these guys really even making it to the round of 8, I think would be tough. So let me paint one more case for you, Rod, because you know how I love my long shots. And you're going to like this one as well. AJ Allmendinger at 60 to 1. So here's how this has to work, Rod. He wins a road course early in the season, or maybe he wins the Daytona 500, Rod, because he's been very, very good at the Daytona 500. Now he's in the playoffs. So we get to the playoffs, round of 8, or round of 16, rather. He's able to survive and get to the round of 12. In the round of 12 is the Roval. He's been very, very, very good at the Roval over the years. Maybe just a good day or maybe a win gets him into the round of 8. Then he wins at Talladega. That's somebody, look, it's taken multiple layers to get there, but it's not impossible for it to happen. And AJ's also a good driver. What about SVG? You're like, well, he's only 17 to 1 and AJ's 60 to 1. So there's a massive difference there. And SVG, or AJ rather, is better at the super speedways anyways. It's a long shot, yes, but at 60 to 1, I think you can build an actual case. He's going to need help. It's, if we're looking at the NFL Next Gen stats, he's only got a 1% chance to get there, but you're telling me there's a chance, Rod. That's what I'm looking for. So, give me AJ Allmendinger at 60 to 1 as the long shot to get it done.
There's nothing I can say to you to counteract that, because I love AJ Allmendinger. I'm going to be rooting for him all season long. So I'll take that with you. AJ Allmendinger 60 to 1 to make the Final Four. That would be a hell of a return back to the Cup Series full time for him. And like we talked about, you got to go down, cool your jets a little bit, make yourself feel comfortable again, and then
think of the underdog story. You're going into the Final Four, and you've got a guy like it's Kyle Larson, it's Chase Elliott. It's Christopher Bell, and it's AJ Allmendinger. Boy, that'd be quite the story.
That would be quite the story. All right, that's it for top 3s, so we'll leave it there. There are exactas and quinellas, which is quite interesting. And there are look, any combination you want to feel comfortable with, this is where you find it. But for one of the exactas, the first one on the board, actually, we'll go to the first 2. It's Kyle Larson 1, Christopher Bell 2. That's 20 to 1. Or you could go Christopher Bell and Kyle Larson at 20 to 1 as 1-2 on that one. So I'm telling you right now, Cody, this is crazy. There's some really,
So we had talked about some, what did we talk about before that was exactas?
That was Daytona.
Yeah. And they were just like, there wasn't very many options. They weren't that great of it, but this has everything. A lot, like anybody and everybody all the way up to 250, 400 to 1. And like 400 to 1 is Ross Chastain and Kyle Busch. Sure, that's a long shot, but it's not like Ross Chastain just won the Phoenix race 2 seasons ago. Kyle Busch is a 2-time champion that just won 3 races a season ago, almost won 2 races last year. Don't forget. I know how bad of a Kyle Busch year it was. I know that streak ended. He was inches from winning at Atlanta. He was going to win Kansas until he got the air taken off of him by Briscoe. Like, it's not that crazy. And think about 38 races. We get to the end. Chastain and Busch have found their way in there. 400 to 1. I mean, I don't hate to go just to the bottom, right? Because I like my long shots. But things like that are very capable. And take it the other way, too. You get Busch and Chastain, you get Chastain and Busch. I like the Busch Chastain one better. 400 to 1, but there is combinations all across this that are all there's no AJ Allmendinger and Corey LaJoie, like two guys that aren't going to make it. Like these are all possible combinations, and there's what 40 of them. I mean, it is just beautiful, and like we could spend probably 6 episodes digging through all of them. But just scrolling through, are there any other ones that jump out to you?
Well, I will say this, that the first one on the board, like if you're just somebody that wants to invest your money now and let it cash out later, any other exactas is at plus 150, right? That if you're placing a normal bet on a normal day at plus 150, but any other that's any other exacta.
Yeah, but there's a lot of things here, Rod. So
yeah, no, I know. I'm just saying if you just want to invest in anybody winning the championship, and that's almost an easy cash out right there at any other. That's an investment for future you. But I will say, look, if you're looking down at some of these guys, I mean, you got Kyle Larson, Tyler Reddick at 28-1 as 1-2, and then of course flip it around. You got Reddick and Larson at 28-1, or Reddick and Bell at 30-1 as an exacta, and then Bell and Reddick but again 30-1 for both of these guys on the back end of this. I mean, some of these guys that we were talking about earlier in the episode, if you really feel like you like them that much, that this is where you start to put your money where your mouth is for real.
Yeah, Elliott Bell 35-1 or Elliott Blaney at 40-1. Those I sort of like. Man, our Ty Gibbs fans out there, you get like a Gibbs Byron at 85-1. You could get
you can get a Kyle Larson, Kyle Busch 80-1, and then flip that around. Kyle Busch, Kyle Larson.
Yeah, these are really fun to just go sprinkle. Oh, I am going to be in Colorado this week, Rod, which is a legal betting state. I guess looks like what Cody's going to be finding a bunch of these to just throw a couple bucks on, because this is a lot of fun. And like, again, this is one of those you don't like just small little tiny bets, but if you come back and you've got a couple bucks, in almost a year from now on two guys at 100-1, and you get to the Final Four and those two guys are in there and you could possibly hit this, like these bets are not about being a great bettor and where this is how we're going to make a living and all this. Like, this is #DGens only. Have some fucking fun and enjoy the sweat type of bets. And I'm going to be placing plenty of them next week or later this week, actually.
I mean, listen, if you even want to go, there is a Kyle Larson, Ross Chastain right now at 90-1. A $10 bet gets you $900. Like this is what we're talking about. This is the kind of thing where you don't put a lot down.
This isn't, get out the board and connect all the strings for AJ Allmendinger to make the final three. This is the greatest race car driver in the world and a guy who's been really good. He's made it to the Final Four before, just won this race a couple of years ago. Like, that's not crazy for that to happen, and you're getting good numbers. Now, the exacta part of it, right, where they have to finish 1-2, yes, obviously, but that's just in the championship too. They don't even have to finish 1-2 in the race. Like, oh yeah, these are really, really fun.
Yeah, there's so many of them, and so yeah, so there's the exactas. Mainly, we love these episodes because we get to bring different parts of the books to your attention, and that's obviously we go through what we like just to kind of give you a guidepost of where to go. But we encourage you. In fact, we implore you, because if you don't use it, you lose it. Right? This is like your leave in the military. If you don't use it, you lose it. So we want you guys to be able to take advantage of this. So dig through this, man. We're giving you names. We're giving you what we like, but take the time to scroll through and find the ones that you like.
Well, and this is a spot where we've talked all off season, obviously, at this point. Which guys we're higher on, which guys we're lower on. So you can make those combinations if you want. You're developing your own thought process of, I really think Cody's wrong. I think this which, it doesn't happen very often, but if you ask my wife, it happens every once in a while. But, I think this crew chief combination for Denny Hamlin, he's going to hit it like this. He's going to ride off into the sunset, right? Maybe he wins the championship, retires the next day. Like, he wants to go out on top, right? So you think it's going to be him and Ty Gibbs is going to be second. Go place that bet. Like, these are what's fun about it. And then the same thing with the Quinellas, like it's all basically the same options. You get less of a number because you're not exactly predicting it, right? That's the one where if you pick two guys, they can finish 1-2 in either combination, of course. which those are just as fun. Well, less numbers, which makes it maybe not quite as much fun, but still fun.
Yeah, it's like slightly half of what, or less, or just a little more than half of what you would get. Like the Larson Bell one is at plus 950 for the Quinella. Larson Hamlin at 12-1.
It just doesn't have the same pop as the 25 to 1.
No, it does not. And look, and then any other remains at plus 150. So if you're really wanting to go, but I would just take that. Well, the Quinella at plus 150 would probably be just as fun as well. But yeah, scroll through those ones as well. Those are a lot of fun.
And yeah, share with us too. Like if you're watching this on YouTube, comment on the YouTube channel. Which one do you like, or which couple are you betting on? Hit us up in Discord, Twitter, Facebook, wherever you can get a hold of us. Just because this is like the fun part of it's the off season. We were still talking about racing. We've got some fun stuff to bet on. You got some bonus bets, juice this up, whatever it is. Like share it with us because we like to see those as well.
Indeed. All right, let's do one more, because I feel like this one's going to be enough to take us over to the point where we can put a natural pin in it and come back tomorrow with more.
Is it time to talk about Rick Ware Racing, Ron?
It is time to talk about Rick Ware Racing. If you ever wanted to talk about Rick Ware Racing, this is the part to go. They're giving us the winning team of the 2025 NASCAR Cup Series Championship. And look, here's the thing. Hendrick Motorsport sits atop of this one at plus 180. I mean, Cody, if we think this is a Kyle Larson year, do you double down on a Hendrick Motorsport? Or because, I mean, look, I don't know because Chase Elliott, obviously we're not really kind of putting Bowman in the mix, rather, unfortunately. But this is between Larson, Elliott, and Byron. So this gives you all three drivers.
Which is it's a strong ticket to have, right? And if you're just a Hendrick Motorsports fan and that's your team, like, yeah, go bet on this because they have a really good shot, any of those three guys, to win this. So yeah, it's only plus 180, so it's not like, just run to the window and go bet on this, but you're getting three very capable guys. And to give Bowman his credit too, Bowman is, I was going to say Bowman's capable of doing it. Should I say that, Rod? I don't. Is Bowman capable of winning a tie? I think that he is. I mean, it would be a long shot at this point, but he could maybe get it done for you. So we'll toss him in there too, just in case he stumbles into it. But you're getting three of the, I mean, if you go back and look at the championship odds, right? Larson obviously is the favorite. Byron is 5th on the list, and Elliott is 9th on the list. So you're getting three of the top 9 favorites. It's only plus 180, but you're getting three of them. So it's a good size to have. Personally, I'm not racing to the window to place this one, but if you're a big Hendrick fan or a fan of multiple of those guys, not a bad thing to have because then you can just be rooting for the team that you're rooting for.
Yeah, indeed. I'd rather just kind of sit on this and I don't know that I want any piece of this championship team unless we're talking about maybe one of the ones later on down the road. But Joe
I got
Gibbs,
my eyes on Rod.
Are you kidding me? I know exactly which one you got your eyes on. But let's round out the favorites. Joe Gibbs 2-1. I mean, we know Hamlin's going to be in contention. Bell's going to be in contention.
So I think I would say more so in the Gibbs camp than the Hendrick camp. You're getting 4 drivers capable of winning the championship because Christopher Bell, obviously, we've talked about, he's at the top of his game. I think he's going to continue to ascend. He's been there 2 of the last 3 years. You could argue it should be 3 in a row. He's also really good at short flats. We know all of that, right? You've got Denny Hamlin, the greatest driver in history to not win a championship to this point. Now, a little down on him, yes, but he's very, very capable of still winning the championship. And like, I wouldn't be super shocked other than the fact that he's gone this long without winning one, but he's always in the mix, right? So you have to count that for something. Chase Briscoe's coming over, short flat guy. We've seen some glimpses of the talent. Now this is his opportunity. Maybe he, like a Tyler Reddick, gets this car upgrade and just hits the ground running and takes off and gets it done. And good short flat guy as well. Ty Gibbs, obviously. I'm very, very, very big on Ty Gibbs. I think this is his breakout season. Wouldn't be shocked to see him do it. He's done it previously in the Xfinity Series, in this format, on this track, just a couple seasons ago with the same team. And so, obviously I think he's probably the longest of the shots at this point. But if this is a breakout season, we're talking about 2, 3, 4, 5 wins, maybe even. It wouldn't be crazy to see him get it done for this strong of a team. So that being said, you could argue maybe Hendrick is more top heavy, where those three guys are maybe more of a contender than the four Gibbs guys, but you're getting four guys in the Gibbs camp. So pick your poison if you're wanting to bet either of those. Plus 180, plus 200. I'm still not sold on really racing to the window to bet on one of these. Also, if you look at the previous champions we've had here, well, Penske, we're going to talk about in a second, won 3 in a row. Hendrick won 4 years ago. Penske, Rod, has actually won 4 of the last 5. And then you have to go back to, I think, I'm doing this all off the top of my head, but I believe 2018 with Kyle Busch was the last time Gibbs won one. So, you've got Hendrick in 20 and 21, Gibbs back in 18. So it's been a while. Obviously, Penske's been hogging them, but it's not like this is a Red Bull to win and they've won, 4 straight constructors titles over an F1, which I guess leads us into Team Penske after you give your Joe Gibbs thoughts. But
I honestly, again, this is one that I just at 2-1. I know these aren't about winning a lot. It's just about the sweat, and I don't really care to sweat this one all season long. So I'm more apt to want to sweat some of the other ones. And Team Penske at plus 360, Cody, you just talked about them. I mean, they have been on a tear as of late. So at plus 360, it's amazing to me that when you pick them on a trend, you could do one of two things with it. You can say, whatever, and dismiss it, and then it continues, or you can buy into it and overreact. So the books are sort of dismissing this at plus 360 rather than overreacting and giving this at plus 200 or, plus 175 or something safe, because they've done it.
Well,
they've done it.
This is one of those things. It's like, when does the shoe drop? Like, okay, they won 2 in a row. There's no way they're going to win 3 in a row. Right now, they've won 3 in a row. Oh, by the way, it's 4 of the last 5. Like, that is so incredible, Rod. They've won 4 of the last 5 Cup Series titles in arguably the most, and not arguably the hardest era to win championships with the format that we have currently, and arguably the most parity that we've had in the sport probably ever. And yet they've won 4 of the last 5, and they're not even in the top 2 conversation in the odds, or any time. If you go up to any NASCAR fan, what are the top 2 teams? Your answer 99% of the time is going to be Hendrick and JGR. And yet they continue to get it done. So you've got them sitting here at this number. But then how much do you believe in the act? Like, I dismissed so much the even odd year thing last year with Joey Logano, and obviously that bit me. So now I'm thinking, well, if you're taking Joey out of the equation here, why not just bet Ryan Blaney at plus 750 instead? Maybe that's the better way to go, but you don't really want to leave Joey out because, he's a 3-time champion. He just won this title. Like, so, man, I'm all sorts of, I don't know what to do here, Rod.
Hey, listen, at plus 360, if you really believe that this can continue, that this trend can continue, this is about the best you'll get. And it's actually one of the sweats that you kind of want. I mean, do you really think that Penske can do it again? Do you really think that Blaney has it in him? Do you really think that Logano can overcome
Blaney really, we just don't talk about him enough. And I think the number's just never sexy enough for what Blaney does. And he's like the hardcore blue collar guy that just shows up and rolls up his sleeves and gets it done. And he's so close to being a back-to-back champion. We could be talking about Blaney trying to go for a 3-peat. Like, if he gets 3 in a row, then we're talking about, is he the next Jimmy Johnson? Like, so it wouldn't be crazy for him to win. So you have to give Penske the respect here. Again, I'm not going to bet it at plus 360. I just don't. There's too many things, but they deserve the respect. And if you wanted to bet on it, I couldn't tell you don't make that bet, because I can't say it's a bad bet, because it's been 3 in a row and 4 of the last 5. At some point, you got to give them the respect of they get it fucking, and it's never that impressive. They just do it.
Well, this is one of those instances where if you dig in, right, if you really fully dig in and say they can't do it again, you're going to look silly at the end of the year when they do. So you don't really need to be that, you don't have to take that hard of a stance against it, because if it happens, you're just going to say, well, yeah, of course it happened, because it's happened so many other times. It's, it's not like you can sit there on your mount and preach down to it. So I would say Team Penske, yes, for sure. This will be one to bet because it's a lot of fun. Let's move on to 23-11 at 8-1. This one, my friend, this one's got me licking my chops because if we believe Reddick is going to get it done this year, 8-1, that's going to be a good sweat to have right there.
So I guess the question with this is, do you just bet Reddick at plus 850 or do you take the discount at 8-1? I mean, yeah, we just painted a picture for Bubba to find his way into the top 3 based on the number. Probably going to need some luck. It's probably going to include winning at Talladega. But even if he does that and gets to the Final Four, do we think he really can compete for a championship right now where he's at? I love Bubba. I just don't think we're there. And then Riley Herbst is included in this too. Rookie. Look, rookies don't win championships. We know that. Riley's not going to win it. Final Four, I think, would be pretty crazy for him to make it to. Does he even make the playoffs? I think is probably the better question. So it's only 800. I guess you get the assurance of if Bubba pulls it off, you're holding the ticket. But do you just go bet Reddick at 850 instead?
Or question mark, you're doubling down. If Reddick wins and you have this, then you have 2 tickets with them about the same time. So you know what I'm saying? Like if your Reddick ticket hits, then this is going to hit too. So why not double down on an 8-1 as well, right? I mean, if you're already hoping for Tyler Reddick to win, then you're already hoping for your 8-1 to win. You're not even, I mean, and then look, Cody, that means you're insured if Bubba Wallace ends up doing it, right? I mean, that's kind of the
segment of the show brought to you by USAA.
Right? USAA. Yeah, Gronk, you're not a member. As rich as you are and as powerful as you are, you'll still never be.
I finally have something over Gronk, which makes me happy, Rob. But,
and that he wants it too. He wants it. Gronk, if you want me to adopt you, my fee is, a couple $1 million, and I will make you a family member.
I'd adopt Gronk for free. I mean, you don't have to pay me.
No,
I mean, it'd be nice to have some of the money, but it's Gronk, Rod. Come on.
I
got a monster Gronk can right here. Look at that.
Look at you. All right. All right. So 23-11. Look, I'm saying if you're going to double down like that, to me, that's my thought process on this. If you are holding that ticket for Tyler Reddick, great. Then you're holding a 23-11 ticket and you're double down on that one. If you lose Tyler Reddick, you're going to lose this one anyway. So I feel like it's not more of a risk. I mean, obviously you're not trying to go heavy on this. This is a couple bucks, $5-10 if you want, but you know what I'm saying? Like that's where we're at on this.
Yeah. I agree.
Good. I want to give you plenty of time to talk about your next one, because I think this is where the last real threat can come, except for maybe one other. But RFK, once again, Cody, we turn our attention to RFK Corner here.
Yeah, I guess this is the point where we get to how big am I all in on RFK at 16-1. And I do so if I was going to place one of these championship team winning bets, this is the one that I would take at RFK, because sure, you get 3 different guys at Hendrick that can all get it done. It's only plus 180. It's a season-long bet. It doesn't tickle my fancy, Rod. But you get down to RFK, 16-1. Look, we know how good both of these drivers in Keselowski and Buescher are. Like I said earlier, I think the case for Buescher is probably stronger at this point because he's sort of been the better one. But I'm not discounting Brad Keselowski. Brad can get it done. He's already a champion. If he can get back there, he could find a way to get it done. Absolutely. So this is one where, and again, you look at 23-11 and like I feel strong about Reddick, but I don't feel strong about the rest of the team. This is one where it is really splitting hairs between the top 2 guys and getting them both at a pretty good number at 16-1. That's something that I like. Obviously, Brian Priest runs for this team as well. I don't think that he's in the conversation for a championship, so I'm keeping it to the other 2 guys. But I think that either of them could get it done. We've seen how hot Buescher can get, the different track types he can win on, and we know Brad can do it as well. So 16-1, this is definitely the team bet that I will place, actually, probably this week, is RFK at 16-1, because you're getting 2 drivers, both very capable of getting it done. You're getting a good number. Ford, we talk about Penske winning all these championships. Ford has won those along as part of what Penske is. So you like that as well. They've obviously got some stuff figured out on the short flats and everything as well. So yeah, give me RFK at 16-1, Rob.
Yeah, you're alone on that island, and that's fine. I'm okay with staying away from that one as well. All right, look, I'm just gonna read down these other ones. I know that there's one that kind of does jump out. The Trackhouse at 20-1. There's Childress at 25-1, and then you get down into the weeds. Spire 60-1, Front Row 66, Legacy Motor Club at 175-1. Wood Brothers Racing at 200-1.
Is Jimmy coming back? Legacy 175, going for 8.
Listen, I love that. If he came back full time, sign me up.
I almost made the case earlier, Rod, for Eric Jones to make the 8 and then win Talladega, where he's really good at. But
oh my God, what?
Okay, never mind.
I would have loved you, but I would not have loved that. So. Colleague at 200-1, Hayek at 2-2.
SVG? Are you telling me we can get SVG at 200-1 to win the championship, bro? Oh wait, he doesn't race for Colleague. He races for Trackhouse. Never mind.
That's true. See, and then Rick Ware 250. And Haas Factory at 300.
Why is Hayek listed twice on yours?
Yeah, it is. They wanted to make sure that they got your money.
I wonder which Hayek is the lucky one.
We'll find out, won't we, at the end of the year? The only one to me right now worth even talking about is RCR, and that's of course because if you're going to crown Kyle Busch, 25.
So yeah, I mean, which Kyle Busch is 25-1, so I guess you just take the team bet. This is one of those where it's like you take the team bet, even though Austin Dillon doesn't really have a chance because, what if crazy shit happens? I guess you want to have it. So yeah, and then like the Trackhouse one, Chastain's 28-1, but if you're that crazy about SVG, I guess I will remind you that a rookie is, and I get that SVG is different, but a rookie has never, ever, under any circumstances, ever won the championship in the Cup Series, and I just don't think that that's going to change. And people have won in their first start before, so it's not, it was crazy and it was fun and it was good, but it's happened before. So, yeah, I think that. But if you want the extra SVG insurance for 8 points, you could take Trackhouse too. RCR, I guess if you're going to bet on Kyle, you just take that instead. But outside of that, none of these other teams I really don't think have any shot at winning the title.
Well, like I said, this is a double down opportunity too. If you're really that invested in one driver, take the team and double down on that, because if the driver doesn't hit, and definitely the team's probably not going to hit in some cases. So, or in other cases, maybe if you, like I said, you take an outright on a Denny Hamlin and Christopher Bell wins it, and you took the 2-1 on Gibbs, then you're happy. So do whatever you want to do with this, but I do believe that there are some good bets out there for the team bets. So all right, that is a good natural pause for this episode. There's still a ton to get to on this one, and we will when we come back tomorrow. We won't go through all of them. Again,
next year. We'll talk. Let's have this conversation next year, Rob.
I want to have this conversation with you next year. Let's wait till next year to talk about the rest of these. So
yeah, you got to get the New Year's dad joke in. I mean, it was right there. So
you do. I have to wait till next year to talk to you, Cody. I don't know what we're gonna do.
You're gonna be gone till next year, Dad.
This is stupid.
Sorry. That's how it works, kid.
Yep, it is. And we'll see you next year. All right. Well then, yes, Cody, I will see you next year. Everybody, we'll see you next year. Hopefully you have a fantastic start to 2025. And we'll see you on the other end of your celebration to ring in the new year. So Cody, happy New Year to you, my friend. This has been a fantastic 2024, spending all of this time with you. This is the most time we've spent together in 3 seasons, where we upped it to 5 episodes a week. And it's been spectacular.
It has been spectacular, and I'm very excited to do it all again in 2025, Rod. So follow me over on the X at Husker_Zeeb. You can find all my stuff there. I mentioned that college football article out for the Underdog fantasy plays for each one for each of the final 4 college football play. We need to get terms, I guess, for that, but college football playoffs, baby. Go find it over there. And follow the show as well at NASCAR Gambling. You can continue to watch that number countdown as the number gets smaller, which is a great, great thing. And see you guys all tomorrow, aka next year. Happy New Year. Stay safe. Call a friend if you need a ride, and don't drink and drive. All that stuff, because we want to see you tomorrow and next year. So we will do that. I'm done rambling.
Cody wants to talk until
Get me out of here, Rod.
Cody wants to make sure that you make it to the new year by making sure you're listening until
If you start this episode at exactly 10:53 and 37 seconds.
Well, follow me on Twitter at RJ Villagomez. I won't hold you hostage. And until then, you can find everything I got going on, whether Sportsbook Review, got some first touchdown props. And then, of course, check out my other sites where I've got some darts coming up. I've got some rugby coming up, all kinds of great stuff in the new year on that site. So we'll see you next year. And until then, let's go racing and let it ride.